It's the 1st of July and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Well, it's day one of the new financial year and day two of our Senate week coverage. It's also day three of my juice cleanse and day 12,497 of me being called Tom Glasson. I don't look a day older than 12,374. It's the juice cleanse. I peep a pie now, you know. Tonight, the new senators have had their first day. So right about now, their families are asking, how was your first day? And they're saying, yeah, fine. First up, though, here's Mark Humphries with the headlines.
A new federal government review of the welfare system suggests a variety of changes, including managing the welfare payments of young people so they can't buy things like alcohol. So just to recap, if you're a young person, your uni fees are going to go up, you won't be able to get youth allowance for 6 months, and if you do finally get it, you might not even be able to buy goon to drink the pain away. YOLO. Social Services Minister Kevin Andrews, seen here contemplating smiling before deciding against it, spoke about the changes last night with Sarah Ferguson on ABC's 7:30.
But I do recall just before the budget you talking about, in relation to youth unemployment, young people needing to get off the couch.
Look, there are some young people who sit on the couch, we know that.
Yes, and not just young people.
Love is in the air.
But thanks to the government restricting young people from receiving welfare payments for 6 months, they won't just be sitting on the couch, they'll also be sleeping on it. The government is also keen to get more disabled people back into work, but Kevin Andrews does understand there are some challenges.
There are some people with mental illness who are incapable of working.
People who are incapable of working. I know where you can find them. Woolworths, that place which you depend on to live, is hiring final year pharmacy and nursing students to conduct in-store health checks, finally giving in to no one's demands for in-store health checks. A spokesperson says customers will be able to get their blood pressure and cholesterol levels checked. Conveniently, if your cholesterol is too high, there's a fresh food person on hand with cash handling experience. The Pharmacy Guild of Australia is concerned, saying it's an attempt to hoodwink consumers into believing they can get professional pharmacist advice and products from a supermarket. That's a bit rich coming from the Pharmacy Guild. What makes pharmacies think they're qualified to sell jelly beans? The health checks will be offered for free, meaning you can save yourself the $7 GP co-payment and spend the money on more important things like Yogo. India's Prime Minister has praised his nation's low-cost space program, saying a recent rocket launch cost less to make than the film Gravity. Meanwhile, North Korea's rockets cost less than the Blair Witch Project. Gravity's budget is estimated to be about $100 million, or the cost of one ticket to Gold Class. A low-cost space program is a good idea. In fact, I believe we have footage of how that's going to pan out.
Astronaut is on structure, Dr. Stone.
For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, the new Senate members officially start their terms today, so it's out with the old and in with the noob. Which of course brings us to day two of The Roast's week-long Festival of Democracy, where the headlining acts are all artists you've never heard of. You know it, it's Senate Week.
Senate Week.
We'll get to know the incoming senators who hold the balance of power in just a moment, but first, a tribute to the 12 senators who are leaving the hallowed halls of Parliament. Of course, you might not remember their faces or their names or anything they did, which is a good thing because competence does not a headline make. But just because these senators don't appear on the front page doesn't mean they don't deserve a touching, heartfelt farewell.
So forgettable, gone just one day. The first time I heard you speak to me was when you gave your valedictory.
Like the words of this song.
You know the words.
No, we don't.
Oh, doesn't matter.
So forgettable.
Well, I will never forget you. But now we turn to the first of our profiles of the 8 new micro-party senators. These are the senators who'll be replacing, you know, good old hair and face here, and will hold both the balance of power and the fate of the nation in their weird little hands. Tonight, we tell the story of two star-crossed old dudes who defied all the odds to form the country's teeniest voting bloc. And so to fair Canberra we travel, where Alex Lee has more on this senatorial odd couple in our inaugural edition of...
The Roast Profiles Teeniest Voting Bloc Edition. First up tonight, a libertarian who loves big American guns and small Australian governments. David Lionhelm is Yankee Doodle Bang Bang. A member of the Liberal Democratic Party, Lionhelm credits his win to the fact that his party's name is the love child of two more famous parties, and people just didn't know the difference. So who knows what would have happened if he ran as the Democratic, Labor, Liberal, Green sex motorists. Yankee Doodle Bang Bang is pro-same-sex marriage, euthanasia and the decriminalisation of marijuana, which might be surprising, but don't act surprised because you should never startle an armed man while he's punching cones. Lionhelm loves guns so much that before the Coalition's gun buyback, he said, "Every now and then I would take my guns out and pat them." But thanks to Howard, now he's stuck petting this stupid cat. And you can only fit 5 bullets up a cat. So Yankee Doodle Bang Bang has never forgiven Howard for taking away his semi-automatic bang bangs, claiming Australia is now a nation of defenceless victims, and echoing the NRA's sentiment that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Though after having no massacres in Australia since the boat buyback, no guy with a gun also seems to be a pretty effective way to stop gun violence. And Yankee Doodle Bang Bang has found an unlikely ally in Senator Bob Day from the Christian Family First Party. And with God on his side and a face like Ferris Bueller after too many days on, Bob Day is... Matthew Godric. It turns out after the movie, Bueller knuckled down, went to college and somehow became an Australian senator. But he hasn't forgotten his roots as a rad teen. He supported getting more young people into work by lowering the minimum wage, blaming it on the social ills of drugs, crime, violence, poor health, teenage pregnancy and suicide. Finally, someone to stand up for those sick, violent, pregnant teens who turned to drugs and crime because they were being paid a fair wage. And both Matthew Godric and Yankee Doodle Bang Bang are members of the Right-Wing Institute of Public Affairs, with some commentators saying they represent the right-wing libertarian views of the Institute even more faithfully than the Liberal Party itself. So if you thought the Liberal Party's last budget wasn't hard enough, you probably voted for one of these guys. So how will Matthew Godric and Yankee Doodle Bang Bang fare for the next 6 years? Well, Bob Day will put families first, as long as they're families between a man and a woman. And as for David Lionhelm, well, if you listen to political strategist Glenn the Preference Whisperer Drury, it's highly unlikely he will achieve anything in Canberra. Well, Glenn Drury, we can't all boast accomplishments like getting Ricky Muir elected to Parliament. For The Roast, I'm Alex Lee.
Have you ever started in a new workplace with the sole intention of making things harder for the boss? That's a weird way to start a new job. Do they have cream biscuits in the staff kitchen? We'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
No cream biscuits for me. Juice cleanse. But the question remains, how did those two senators end up creating a mini voting bloc, or what Tony Abbott calls, what the hell happened to my mandate?
Tom, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you how Yankee Doodle Bang Bang and Matthew Godric formed an economic voting bloc through the medium of puppets. Starring... and... Bom, bom. Bang, bang. Godric, tell me, are you by chance a member of the Institute of Public Affairs? You mean the right-wing think tank that has enormous influence when proposing policy for the Liberal Party? Yes, I'm in the IPA. I am also in the IPA. Wait, what size do you think government should be? Really small? Same here. What do you think about tax? You could tax this. I know, right? Okay, on 3, how would you describe Australia? 1, 2, 3. Nanny state. Voting bloc! Oh, we're totally a voting bloc. Wait, you want to give this a little pat? Not right now? Tell you what, let's go oppose gay marriage. No, I can't do that. Oh God, I think our voting bloc's gonna fall apart. Guys, you have to focus on what you have in common. Yeah, this giant with his hand up our asses is right. We need to focus on the greater good. Pushing down the minimum wage. Voting bloc! Yeah, voting bloc! Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Nick. And for those of you concerned by these two new senators, don't worry, you'll be reassured by the ones we're profiling tomorrow. A motoring enthusiast who taught his 8-year-old daughter how to do a doughy, and the three from that party created by a billionaire miner with a fetish for prehistoric reptiles. Now, who's going to be good and vote below the line next election?
No, don't do that!
Crazy puppets. Sure glad no one has their hand up my butt. Sorry, Tom. Good night.